So I don't normally do this, but tonight I opted to go on a Hinge date with this guy that actually lives in my apartment complex, and we met at a local bar to watch the Chiefs game. All was well until he is suddenly ordering tequila shots and is 2 beers deep. We then proceed to go back to our apartment complex. We have like an amenities floor, and I'm just having a conversation with him, basically asking his intentions for the date. Because I'm upfront anymore, I don't give a shit. And he all of a sudden says, "Chill the fuck out," to me. These were his exact words. And I kind of just stood there in disbelief, and I asked him to repeat this to me. And he said it again. So my response was, I gathered my things and I just walked out. The next thing I know, he's texting me, asking me, why I got so annoyed. I told him basically I don't have time to be disrespected. I've come too far and I've worked too hard on myself to be disrespected like this. And quite honestly, I'd rather be alone than have to deal with this. I have no room, and I'm not willing to make room for someone like this in my life. So that's how my night ended, and now I am watching Netflix and eating pumpkin crunch on my couch with my dog.
She really did need to chill out. What was she expecting him to say? I want to take you upstairs and blow your back out. Or I want to ride off with you into the sunset after we get married. She's obviously uptight and overanalyzing the situation and killing the mood. Why couldn't she just go with the flow? Enjoy growing old with your dog.
You're gonna die alone.
This boy is either going to be the best thing that's happened in my life, or I will have a mental breakdown and kill all men. Still waiting to be the girlfriend, but I've been seeing him for like 2 months. Update? I just met his parents last night. I left his house in his sweatshirt. But they're having a family barbecue and I got invited. So happy. He met my family last night. We just talked about becoming official soon, and that he's gonna ask me to be his girlfriend like super soon. He broke it off this morning. Changed his mind.
Well, that was absolutely insane. She documented her entire dating story with a guy. They met each other's parents and everything. Promised her to make it official. Only for him to break it off at the last second.
I'm out of here.
Can we please talk about how hard dating is, especially texting men? I went on a great first date this past weekend. The next day, I text the guy because he hasn't texted me. And I'm like, hi. He goes, hi. And I say, I had a great time last night. Let's do it again. And he's like, okay, sure, please. And I said, what are you up to next week? And he goes, most things. And I'm a little confused, so I'm like, haha, what do you mean? And then he says, most things are hidden. And I'm like, honestly, yes. So I say, yeah, I guess I agree with that. And then he says, take the rabbit. And what? So out of pocket, right? LOL, what? He goes, take the rabbit. And I say, I don't get it. And he says, take the rabbit. So finally I'm like, okay, I'll take the rabbit. And then he says, rabbit's gone. And I'm like, what? So frustrating. So then he says, what hour are you? And I'm like, if you mean in the day, probably 2 p.m. because it's closest to when I was born. And then he says, isn't that rich? Little girl in her little world. Let's entertain him. So I say, fair enough. Then he says, rabbit's back. And so I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And he says, rabbit's gone. And I'm like, I'm getting tired of this game because I am. And then he says, I like you a lot. So I'm like, okay. The feeling is mutual. And I say, I feel the same way. Then he sends me this movie poster. of Step Up to the Streets. Now, I've seen this movie and I like this movie, so I say, I love that movie too, and I heart the message. Then he goes, I'm genuinely on your lawn. Okay, freak? And I'm like, okay, because I don't know what else to say. And then he says, you're like a hamster. And again, not really sure what to say, so I just send like the crying laughing emoji, because I thought that was like a cute response. Then he says, vomiting at the thought of you. And I'm like, LOL already then. I'm going to get drinks at Night Vale on Thursday if you want to join. He has not responded. Like, what? It is exhausting.
Wow. This guy literally took the piss out of her for 15 messages straight, talking the most amount of garbage I've ever seen a man speak through messages. And in the end, she still wanted to go out with him. You see, when a woman likes a guy, she will put up with the most ridiculous amounts of foolishness you've ever seen. But if she's not attracted to you, you can say the most charming things in the world and she'll still ignore you. It's a lie when women say that they want a guy who is charming, caring, confident, and all of that other stuff. The majority of the time, it doesn't matter what a guy says. It only matters which guy is saying it.
Facts.